Now, people ask me why I come to the PCA. There are two reasons. This man, Justo Eiroa, and the Aladino Cameroon, which is one of my all-time favorites. I'm a sucker for a Cameroon wrapper, and now comes in a Gordo. Much bigger ring gauge than I'm normally into, but hot damn, I'm so happy. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for those kind words, because that really means a lot. You know, you and I have gone to become really good friends, and I kind of admire all the stuff that you do, but for you to be in that, actually, Cameroon is also my go-to guys, so I really appreciate that.
This was actually in my beloved Indiana, the Indy 500, a race that I get to host the pre-race for on radio for 6 hours, and this was one of my Indy 500 picks to bring to the race this past year. I thought it was just a perfect compliment for the weather and everything else going on. This has been one fantastic conference this year, much busier than last year.
Oh, absolutely. I heard probably we were like 50% more attendees than last year's trade show. So I think there's a lot of enthusiasm. I think PCA has done a way better job to get more people to come to the trade show. And I think it's great news for everybody in the industry.
One of the things that we've come to know each other about and talk about is some of the legal matters and issues that face the cigar world. And it was the week before this show where Judge Murtha said of the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, you can't be engaging against cigars the way that you are. You can't be engaging in a type of regulation. It's onerous, it's arbitrary, and it's capricious. And anytime you hear a judge calling the FDA arbitrary and capricious, it's a good day for cigars. How good was that decision?
I think it's fantastic, and we also had the Supreme Court ruling that went after
West Virginia versus the EPA.
And I think basically that falls right in line with what happened with the FDA, because they're legislating out of an administrative limits that they're bound to. So I think you can't basically create new rules for something that is out of their bounds, which I think that's pretty much a good thing for all industries that are being over-regulated by any agency.
Yeah, West Virginia versus EPA was about whether an agency can overstep its authority, decide to make decisions that aren't specifically mandated by Congress. The court ruled that Congress has to tell you what to do, then you can go about doing it. With the FDA, I'm never sure if this falls within their scope, but with Judge Murtha, it was a ruling of kind of manipulating data to serve the idea that you should be able to lump tobacco, cigars in with cigarettes and other things.
Which we're not. We're completely different. We're all natural, filler, binder, and wrapper. And not only that, already the USDA, which is the Agriculture Department, since this is an agricultural product, has already classified as filler, binder, and wrap as Class 1 81, 82, and 83. And the FDA has no say-so of an agricultural classification.
And this is where that overstep comes into play, and that's why the decision's so important. What it really means is guys like you get to go about doing your job, and people like us get to enjoy it. Now, people come to this show, a lot of retailers, they're doing their buying for the year. They're planning out what they're going to be putting on the shelves and everything else. With everything that we're hearing about economic downturn, which is very real, we could talk inflationary pressures, supply chain issues are real, people are still buying. They're still gearing up like it's going to be just like last year in terms of sales.
Well, you know what? Most of the retailers, during 19 and 20, during the COVID epidemic, cigar sales and liquor sales went up. So we're all up in consumption over the past 2 years with a very healthy growth. And I think the tendency of now people smoking more and drinking more at home, which makes it more feasible and more economical, that trend is still keeps on going. So the industry seems to be keeping themselves very strong, but we're optimistically cautious that the inflation and the gas prices might be a factor in the near future. We actually came out with a new line of product, which is the Classic, that we wanted to be a little bit more affordable and a fantastic cigar, but also being very price conscious for the consumers.
So you have looked at that, looking at the economic realities and possibly the economic future, and said, how do we adjust to this to the betterment of our customer base?
Absolutely. You have to be very conscious, because you want to be accessible to all the consumers, and you got to have all price points that are able to be managed with at all consumer price levels.
Notice how I took the puff of the cigar right when he was finished, because that wasn't awkward at all. One day I'm going to be a pro. I tell you, I am. As you look into 2023, as you look into what's happening, are you making different decisions based on that economic future? Everybody here discussing supply chain on boxes, on bans, on packaging, not so much the tobacco, on all the other things it takes to make a cigar. Are you changing how you're moving forward?
Absolutely. One of the things that we have done when the crisis came, we have doubled up on everything that we need to do in ordering for raw materials, whether it's paint, where there's wood or plywood or hinges and bands, and and still are people having a hard time delivering stuff. And especially in the farming operation, all our fertilizers have gone double, and now we have to order everything maybe 6 or 8 months ahead of time, and probably even put deposits to get the problem. And we still don't know what the real cost of the fertilizers are going to be, because everything is kind of going crazy and prices, doubling prices. So it's very hard to predict what's going to happen, but you got to try to control as many aspects of holding your production and your supply lines. The more inventory you have, the better it is.
The reception of the Aladino line has been quite remarkable. Not too far from where we're based in the Indianapolis area, there's actually an Aladino lounge, Final Third Cigar, fantastic people who opened a lounge during COVID. But it's an Aladino-based lounge. That's a coup to be able to get that done.
Well, that is so awesome, and being able to team up with Rob and Lisa, that's actually our second Aladino lounge. We have one also in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. They've been very successful, and they're great supporters of their brands, and we love them to death, and they're doing fantastic.
But this is so much about supporting the retail, the brick and mortar shop, which desperately, from a tax perspective and just where we are with the economy, need the support.
Absolutely. We're family business, they're family business. So we really identify with brick and mortar, since they're a family business operated like we are, and our success and their success are tied together very closely.
Justo, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to shake your hand. Took the time. I mean, the place is swamped, but I'm thrilled for you, thrilled for the success.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Great seeing you again, and hopefully we'll catch up pretty soon again in Indianapolis.
That's a plan. That's going to happen.
Thank you.